Hello. Today I'm going to make a huge salad bowl with 15 pounds of clay. Let's get started. First thing you want to do, join your clay to the wheel head. I've already wedged this, so I'm just going to slam it down. Tap it onto the bat. I'm using a hydro bat, which is absorbent. Now I'm going to add some water. And start coning. I already wedged this as best as I could. Tried to get it really organized, but there's always more to do. This clay is a little bit harder than I'd like it to be. If it was a little bit wetter, it'd be easier to center, but then if it's wetter clay, it won't have as much structural kind of integrity as I start to open it up. If you've never thrown big before, I would say just try it. Take whatever you've maxed out at, maybe it's 3, 4, 5 pounds, add a couple pounds of clay and see what happens. The only way you'll find out is by trying. Okay, I'm going to see if I can kind of bring it up one more time. I'm just reusing all this slip. If I have any clay that comes off, I just put it right here. Now, this happens to me, it might happen to you. Sometimes I get a little cup here. That just means you're bringing too much clay up from the outside, so you want to press it more in. Close that up. Should be fine. Okay, so I've got my clay centered. Now I'm going to start opening it up. I'll first kind of just hold my thumb just the same way I do for everything. Find the center, and then I like to drive my right thumb in, and I almost immediately slide my hand over like this. I'm pressing it down. And now I'm going to claw under and bring it a little bit more open. As I'm throwing this bowl, I really want to be bringing it up and out. So I'm not trying to go super wide or super low right away. I will do that later with my large ribs. Okay. I'm going to go a little bit deeper. This is still like probably 2 inches above the wheel head. Depends on what kind of foot you want to make. I think I'm going to make a what I call a pocket foot or a hidden foot. So I'm going to leave some extra clay there. Need a little bit more water. What I'm doing here is I'm pinching my left hand towards me. Okay, I think I have that pretty well opened up. If you want, you could test the thickness with a needle tool. And yeah, I've got about 1 inch in there. So that's going to be good for trimming my foot later. Okay, the next step is to start to do some pulls. So let me add some water here. I'm going to go in had a little bit of extra clay. I'm going to take that off. Okay. I like to count to 3 to make sure I get underneath it. So I'll just hold my finger there and go 1, 2, 3. I've made a small lip. That's what I'm going to bring up. Add some water. I'm going to try and go in with my knuckle. Okay? If you make a fist, your knuckle is stronger than throwing with your fingertips at this stage when you have a lot of clay. And I'm mostly going to be thinking about like pulling up this way. Okay, let's do another pull. 1, 2, 3, just getting underneath it there. Get my knuckle down there. You can see my right forearm is anchored on my thigh. I've already got a nice large bowl here. It's pretty thick though. I'm going to get rid of some extra clay here at the bottom. And I'm going to do another pull. This time I'm going to use my fingers. So 1, 2, 3. Got underneath it. And I'm going to use my middle finger pressing against the sponge and bring it up. That is just what's comfortable for me. You might have a different style. Okay, after every pull, I want to compress the rim. Notice I'm still going mostly up, not out yet. When you're throwing like this, you could choose to make a more spherical bowl or a wider bowl. I find that when you get really huge, depends on, if you're going to use it for a punch bowl, that's fine, but, a really deep bowl and wide that's going to be pretty huge if you're doing salad. Okay, I think this is pull number 4. Did my counting, got underneath it, and now I'm going to pull up again. Trying to keep everything into my torso. And I can feel, this is probably about as thin as I can go. So I'm going to go a little bit wider. I still have a nice, relatively thick rim. It's probably about 1/2 inch. That's going to help kind of anchor the piece and keep it in place. If you're pulling and your rim gets super thin, makes it really hard to throw. Let me just see here. I can tell I got it a little bit thinner than I wanted right in the middle here. Let me just pull a little bit just to even it. Okay, and you can see it went a little bit wider. I've got kind of, like a trumpet shape. It's growing up and out. Okay, at this stage I am done with my pulls. I think I did, what do we call that? Maybe 4.5, did I count that right? You can do as many pulls as you need, but just realize that you're adding a lot of water with each pull, and that's going to soften the clay. These bigger forms, if they're too soft, they can collapse on you. Okay, I'm cleaning all the slip off of my hands. I'm going to dry my hands with my towel here. I like to have dry hands and dry tools. I'm going to take a rib. This is a homemade rib. You could use a wooden rib. You can buy these. This one just, I like that it's curved at the end, as these are a little bit sharp. And I'm going to be making it a little bit lower, and that's going to make it wider. Okay, I'm going to start not right at the center, but I have a little kind of bump in here. Can't probably see it, but I'm going to just start there. And I'm turning the rib a little bit cockeyed, a little bit at an angle, so that there's just going to be one point of the rib that's touching the bowl, and then my outside finger is lightly supporting as I come up. And you can make a lot of passes with this shaping, so you don't have to do it all at once. The first pass, you're definitely going to remove a lot of the slip. And that's fine, that's what we want to do. Okay, let's bring it a little bit lower. I'm going to slow down my wheel. I see it's wobbling here. Okay, we can still go lower though, and I haven't even done the bottom. It's not at the point where it's even being cleaned up. And I might have made the center a little bit too thin. I don't know. So right now, I'm going down and in. I had an instructor who said, you know, you never throw down. We're always throwing up. We're always fighting gravity. But for me, when I'm shaping at the shaping stage, sometimes, you know, it's much easier to just slide the rib in and clean things up. Do what works for you. Okay, let's see if we can get it lower. Let's start here at almost the center. I've got my finger turned sideways. If you need to add water on the outside, you can do that. Tool's getting a little wet. Okay, I'm going to try and do one of those downward passes again. We'll see how that works out. So I'm kind of starting here, but I'm really just touching first the couple inches in from the rim. Trying to drop in that curve, make it a nice bowl. I don't want to push it so far that it collapses though. I've added a little wobble here. I'm going to slow down the wheel. Really in the danger zone with a huge pot like this. Got kind of a little throwing mark still in the bottom here. I'm going to go in with two hands, holding the rib, and just try and work that out, compressing. may have noticed I'm spending more time on the shaping than on the pulling. And what I've learned with making salad bowls, lower bowls, platters, is that it's really in this shaping stage that you do most of the work. If I tried to pull it this wide, it probably would have flopped over. So at this point I've already removed slip. It's starting to dry again a little bit, and I can be more adventurous with the form. So let me try and take it down just a little bit. So this time I'm going to, let me put some water on the rim here. I'm going to support the rim with my thumb and my index finger. Just bringing it a little bit lower and wider. I don't want the rim to rip. So definitely support it. And now I'm going to slide my outside finger along the outside as I change the profile on the inside just a little bit. Now if you're having trouble getting a form like this, you can always throw it thicker or with more clay and just plan to trim more. That's always an option. Still have a little, like I said, I went too low, and the bottom still have a throwing mark, so let me get my rib in there and really clean up the bottom. It's going to make it even lower, so less of a chance to put a foot in there, although I can address that when I trim it. I could figure out some other way of doing a different foot. Let me just get it, clean the rib. Okay, I could stop here. Let me see if I can make it just a little bit lower. That'll make it a little bit wider. Okay, I'm going to add some water back here at the rim so my fingers glide over that easily. Supporting the rim, I'm going slow. And just adding or dropping it a little bit lower. I feel like I'm really pushing it. Should have maybe stopped on that last one. It's also an option you could wait, let it dry a little bit, give it 20 minutes, 30 minutes, come back and, shape it more. But for the sake of this demonstration, let me just try to get the curve in there all nice and even. I always say I want to have a nice line that goes from the dead center all the way to the rim, although you may choose to have some steps in there or whatever you want. When you're making your pieces, that's your decision, that's your world. I'm pressing fairly hard, because I know I'm pressing right now above where there's clay below it. Okay. I can see I've got a little wobble in it. I'm going to go ahead and stop there. Let's see, how did I do? It's about 16.5 inches wide in the greenware stage, so don't have it off the top of my head, but that'll probably shrink down to around somewhere between 14 and 15 inches wide. That's going to be a nice big bowl. Of course, there's still a lot of work to do with trimming, decorating, glazing. I think I'll put that in a different video. But because I'm using an absorbent hydro bat, I don't need to cut it off. I'm just going to take a wooden knife and get in there and just kind of clean it up a little bit so I know where to start with the trimming. And I will leave it like that. I don't need to wire it off because when it's dry enough it'll just separate from this plaster bat, and then I can flip it onto another huge bat and continue trimming it. Okay, this has been my 15-pound huge bowl demonstration. Thanks for watching. Check out my other videos, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Happy potting.